The P-51 Mustang. Decades of glory, decades of worship. The sleek silver bird that ruled World War II skies, crushed the Luftwaffe, escorted bombers deep into the heart of Nazi Germany, and emerged as the ultimate Allied fighter. History books celebrate it, museums display it, veterans revere it. But dig deeper into the data, the pilot testimonies, the actual combat performance, and something startling emerges. The P-51 Mustang was never the perfect dogfighter everyone believed it to be, and in the brutal mathematics of aerial combat, that distinction matters more than fame ever could. Numbers don't lie. The Mustang's combat record speaks volumes. Nearly 5,000 confirmed aerial kills across the European theater alone, outpacing every other Allied fighter stationed there. Its operational range exceeded 1,600 kilometers with external drop tanks, allowing it to escort heavy bombers from English airfields all the way to Berlin and back, a capability no other Allied fighter possessed in early 1944. The Rolls-Royce Merlin engine pushed it to 440 mph at high altitude, and it could claw its way to 20,000 feet in under 7 minutes, outperforming most Luftwaffe interceptors above that critical altitude threshold. Even legendary German ace Adolf Galland admitted the Mustang was the perfect escort fighter, fast enough to keep pace with bombers, long-ranged enough to stay with them, and deadly enough to make any interception attempt costly. By early 1945, the skies over Germany belonged to the Allies. Daylight bombing runs that were suicide missions in 1943 became routine operations. The Mustang had swept the Luftwaffe from the skies so thoroughly that German fighter resistance virtually collapsed. Yet here's the uncomfortable truth. Being the best overall fighter and being the best dogfighter are not the same thing, not even close. Dogfighting isn't about propaganda, kill counts, or which aircraft looks better in photographs. It's about measurable, objective performance in close-quarters aerial combat. How tightly can you turn? How fast can you climb? How quickly can you reverse direction and get inside your opponent's turning circle? In World War II air combat, these metrics determined who lived and who died. A superior dogfighter completed a full 360-degree turn in under 20 seconds at combat speed, ideally closer to 15 seconds. It climbed aggressively out of danger zones. It responded instantly to control inputs, especially at low speeds where most dogfights ended. The P-51D Mustang took approximately 20 to 21 seconds to complete a full circle at 270 mph. Respectable, but not exceptional. The Supermarine Spitfire Mark 9 carved that same circle in 17 to 18 seconds, tighter and faster. The Japanese A6M0 could complete a full turn in just over 15 seconds at lower speeds, making it nearly untouchable in horizontal turning engagements. In a sustained turning fight, the Mustang simply couldn't keep up. Climb rate tells a similar story. The P-51D climbed at around 3,200 feet per minute, impressive by most standards, but the German Bf-109K4 climbed at 4,500 feet per minute. The Spitfire Mark 14 reached 4,600 feet per minute. Both could outclimb a Mustang and escape vertical engagements that the P-51 couldn't match. At low speeds, where dogfights often devolved into knife-edge stall fights, the Mustang's heavier control forces made tight maneuvering dangerous. The Spitfire's elliptical wing design offered smooth, responsive handling even near stall speeds. The Zero's feather-light controls made it almost supernatural in slow-speed duels. The men who flew the Mustang knew this better than anyone. Their testimonies reveal the aircraft's hidden vulnerabilities. USAF ace James Goodson, credited with 15 aerial victories, praised the Mustang's speed and range, but warned his fellow pilots bluntly, if you tried to turn with a Focke-Wulf at low level, you were dead. Mustang doctrine explicitly avoided turning battles. Pilots were trained in boom and zoom tactics, dive fast, strike hard, climb away. Never stay and turn with a Spitfire, a Zero, or even a skilled Bf-109 pilot. Lieutenant Colonel John C. Meyer, a Mustang ace with 24 confirmed kills, described the P-51 as a thoroughbred racehorse that needed room to run. Get it trapped in a tight corral and it lost every advantage it possessed. Clarence Bud Anderson, another decorated Mustang ace, admitted that against Japanese Zeros in the Pacific Theater, Mustang pilots were instructed to avoid turning engagements entirely, run away, regain speed, re-engage on your terms, never fight the Zeros fight. Combat loss reports confirm this tactical reality. Many P-51 losses resulted from pilots ignoring their training and getting drawn into low-speed turning battles where the Mustang's higher wing loading became a fatal disadvantage. The aircraft that looked invincible at 400 mph became vulnerable the moment it slowed down and tried to outturn an opponent designed for exactly that kind of fight. Beneath the Mustang's legendary status lies an engineering paradox. The very design feature that gave it unmatched range and speed also created a critical vulnerability in classic dogfighting scenarios. Its laminar flow wing was revolutionary, a radical departure from conventional fighter design. By maintaining smooth airflow over the wing surface, it reduced drag so effectively that the P-51 could escort bombers 800 miles into enemy territory without refueling. At altitude, it reached 437 mph, faster than the Spitfire Mark 9 and the Focke-Wulf 190A8, both around 408 mph. It could nearly match a Me-262 jet in level flight at reduced throttle. But laminar flow efficiency collapses at high angles of attack. During sustained turns, when a pilot pulled hard on the stick to tighten the turning radius, the airflow over the Mustang's wing separated abruptly. The aircraft bled energy rapidly. If the pilot pulled too hard, the wing stalled suddenly with little warning. The Spitfire's conventional wing design provided progressive stall characteristics, giving pilots time to recognize the warning signs and recover. The Mustang gave no such grace period. One moment you were turning, the next you were falling. German pilots quickly identified and exploited this weakness. Luftwaffe tactical manuals from late 1944 explicitly trained pilots to bait Mustangs into horizontal turning engagements, where heavier Focke-Wulf 190s and agile Bf-109Gs could outturn the P-51 and force it into a defensive position. Once the Mustang's speed advantage disappeared, its vulnerabilities became fatal. The Focke-Wulf 190 excelled at exactly the kind of fight where the Mustang struggled most. In sustained low-altitude turns, the FW-190 consistently outturned the P-51D, giving German pilots a tactical advantage they could leverage into a firing solution. The Mustang's laminar flow wing was optimized for speed and cruising efficiency, not low-speed lift or tight turning radius. These were precisely the conditions where the FW-190 thrived. With stubby wings and an exceptional roll rate, the FW-190 could snap into direction changes far faster than a Mustang. In scissors maneuvers, where two aircraft repeatedly reversed direction trying to get behind each other, the FW-190 dominated. Once a Mustang's speed bled off in hard turns, the FW-190 applied relentless pressure until the American pilot broke off or got shot down. So why does the Mustang remain legendary? Because it was never designed to win turning dogfights. It was designed to strike at the strategic heart of enemy air power, a mission with far higher stakes than individual combat. The P-51's defining strength was range. With drop tanks, it escorted B-17s and B-24s from England to Berlin and back, covering distances no other Allied fighter could routinely manage in 1943 and 1944. This gave the Mustang a strategic role neither the Spitfire nor the P-47 Thunderbolt could fully replace. Deep penetration escort missions were more dangerous than dogfighting. Mustang pilots flew hundreds of miles into the Reich, passing through layered radar coverage and flak belts. Even without enemy interceptors, a mechanical failure or fuel miscalculation meant certain capture or death. The Luftwaffe enjoyed home field advantage. German fighters could land, rearm, and re-engage multiple times daily. Mustang pilots fought, knowing every gallon of fuel was irreplaceable until they reached England. The P-51 wasn't the first choice for bomber escort. It was an emergency response to catastrophic losses in 1943, when B-17 and B-24 crews suffered casualty rates approaching 30% on some missions. Its arrival finally allowed Allied bombers to strike Berlin with full escort coverage, something earlier fighters couldn't achieve. Dogfighting was a last resort for Mustang pilots. They were trained to avoid prolonged turning battles, strike fast, dive away, disrupt enemy formations before they could organize effective interceptions. Mustangs did more than fly beside bombers. They patrolled ahead, behind, and flanking the formations, often loitering near Luftwaffe takeoff corridors to ambush fighters as they climbed. Mustangs would wait at altitude above German airfields and dive on enemy aircraft during vulnerable takeoff patterns when they were slow and uncoordinated. Even the Me-262 jet was vulnerable to this tactic. From January to April 1945, Luftwaffe losses averaged 1,500 to 2,000 aircraft monthly, with over 60% destroyed in air combat. No air force could sustain that attrition rate. Mustangs accounted for the majority of Western Allied kills. USAAF Mustang groups regularly posted kill ratios exceeding 10-to-1 against German fighters. Elite units approached 15-to-1 in March and April 1945. By March 1945, single major bombing raids could be escorted by more than 500 Mustangs across the target area. Every attempt to attack a bomber stream risked running into an impenetrable wall of fighters. In the final 3 months of the war, P-51 ground attack sorties destroyed thousands of aircraft on German airfields, sometimes inflicting more losses in one day than the Luftwaffe could produce fighters in a week. Strafing raids on German airfields in April 1945 effectively eliminated organized air opposition. The P-51 Mustang's legacy was never about being the nimblest dogfighter in the sky. It didn't have the sharpest claws, but it had the longest reach. It was the fighter that could hunt the hunters all the way back to their nests and burn everything to the ground. By 1945, it hadn't just defeated the Luftwaffe. It had made the very concept of contesting Allied air superiority over Germany impossible, and that, more than any dogfighting statistic, is why the Mustang won the war.